What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined by my co-host, Will Cohen. Today, we are here to discuss a trade, specifically a trade that did not go through. It almost did, but something held the two teams back. The Rangers and the Vancouver Canucks were in trade talks regarding JT Miller, the former Ranger who we traded away, and then he started blossoming. It's like the same story that always happens with the Rangers. Now we're seeing it with Capo Caco, but anyways, it seems like in the last few days, the Rangers were pretty eager to try to get him back. Seems like they still are. So I don't want to say this trade will never happen. It most certainly can and might. But as of now, we're looking at this one reported trade package that fell through. And we are both pretty happy that it did, because it might have been a bad idea. So we're going to get right on into that. Before we do, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. And of course, leave your comments down in the comment section below. So, Will, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. Yeah, that's really all I'm going to say. I'm doing good.
All right. He's a man of few words. We're going to get right on into the trade. So reportedly, the Rangers would have acquired JT Miller, and in exchange, the Rangers would have given up Filip Chytil, Ryan Lindgren, and a first-round pick that did have a condition attached to it. Now, the trade fell through because the Rangers and the Canucks couldn't agree on what that condition would be. Obviously, at this point, we don't know what either side wanted that condition to be, but whatever it was big enough to the point where the entire trade fell through. And, thank God that it did, because there are some pieces of this trade that I do find intriguing. Obviously, first and foremost, getting rid of Ryan Lindgren. At this point, it's pretty much confirmed that he's not going to be returning to the Rangers after this year. He's an upcoming free agent. There have been zero talks and bringing him back. And at this point, it kind of seems like every game that Lindgren plays, if you're a Lindgren fan, cherish it. He's not coming back after this year. So just getting that off the to-do list, getting rid of Lindgren, at least in exchange for something, instead of just letting him walk at the end of the year, that would have been a plus. The two biggest things that I wouldn't like are, I wouldn't want to get rid of this first-round pick. Is Miller good? Yeah, but at this point, I kind of want to worry about our future a little bit. This cup window is obviously closing very quickly. And, Filip Chytil, he's a young stud. He's looked really good this season. I wouldn't want to see him go. I know that the Canucks were interested in Lafreniere and Schneider as well. I wouldn't want to see any of them go. If I had to pick anyone out of the three, I might say Schneider, but it's still at this point, I don't even want to see him go. And I definitely don't want to see Chytil or Loff go. So all these young studs, I get it. That's what Vancouver's looking for. I don't want to see the Rangers get rid of any of them. And like I said, at this point, we need to worry about our future. So just that package alone is why I wouldn't have wanted it. The other thing that is kind of holding me back from being a fan of a JT Miller trade right now is just the fact that he's old. If the Rangers wanted an aging 31-year-old center who's making $8 million a year to just decline, they should just keep Mika Zibanejad. They already have him. So I feel like it's just adding a second Mika Zibanejad at this point. I get it. If you want to win a cup, you need to get a veteran who can succeed. Sure, right now Miller might be that guy. But yes, the Rangers have turned things around, but I'm not fully sold on the fact that the Rangers are going to be cup contenders by the end of this year. Sure, we're winning games right now, but you still need more to convince me that we have a legitimate reason to invest in a guy like this. It's not just a trade that would impact this season like we've seen in the past, like with Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko. This is a trade to acquire a player that is tenured until the 2030 season, when he's 36. This is a 5-year commitment that we're looking at right here. So to me, it's a big no-no. I'm really happy this trade fell through. If this were a trade reaction video, I would have to assume that I would be quite upset by it, losing Chytil and our first rounder for JT Miller. So, if there's a different package that rolls around and we don't have to give up a first or Chytil, I'll listen to it. But overall, with this package and just the player itself, I would look at it as a big negative. And I think we dodged a bullet there. So I don't know whose fault it is for falling through. I don't know if the Rangers were the ones that called it off or the Canucks called it off, but whoever did, thank you. And that's my take on it. But Will, I've been yapping for about 5 minutes now. I'll pass it off to you and give your thoughts on this failed trade.
I think my biggest thing was I wonder why the condition wasn't met on that first round pick. I wonder if the Rangers were trying to say like, hey, maybe we're gonna keep this pick top 10 protected if we have if we're in the top 10, we're gonna keep our pick and give you a 2026 first round pick. And I bet the Canucks said no. I mean, I don't know if I would do. I mean, I know the Rangers are winning games right now, but I think they're closer to going through a little bit of a retool than being cup contenders again. I don't know if I don't think they're going to be contending for a Stanley Cup this year. They could make the playoffs. They could go on a run, do something, but I just don't think this is the year. I wouldn't, and since they're close to a retool, and I think they're going to have around like 22.5 million in cap space this summer. I don't know if you want to waste 8 million of that on JT Miller when you should be wanting to get younger instead of getting older, especially, Chris Drury sent out that memo saying no one's job is safe. It seems like he kind of wants to start moving on from this core. He already did by trading Jacob Trouba. Why would you want to take on a player that's going to be under contract until the 2030 offseason when you can use that money to, sign a younger guy? I don't know who that would be, but sign somebody younger that starts a new core. I just think that, I want to be mad seeing Lindgren go. Hedl, I'm a little indifferent. I think Hedel's a very good third line center. I don't know if he'll be anything more than that, but he adds scoring to the bottom six, and that is needed to win the Stanley Cup. I know I just said that I don't think the Rangers will be in cup contention this year, or I don't even know if they'll be in cup contention next year or the next year after that. But bottom six scoring is still pretty important. He's cheap. And then the first round pick, like I said, the Rangers need to go through a retool. Let's say they fall into oblivion again this season and they get the first overall pick. Well, if they traded that pick, they wouldn't be able to get, like, let's say James Higgins, who is probably going to be a cornerstone 1C for a team, the team that gets the number one pick or in the top 5. So, I don't know. I'm kind of glad that this trade fell through. I think the Rangers, it's the best thing that happened to them. They should really reconsider it. I know that the Stars are also in on JT Miller and the Canes are also in on JT Miller. I've seen people say that like this will go by like in a couple weeks or something, or even a couple days. I have no clue, but I think the Rangers really dodged a bullet with this one. If they were going to make a trade with anyone, if they were going to trade for anyone on the Canucks, I would like for it to be Elias Pettersson, but he said he wanted to stay in Vancouver. So it's probably not going to happen, but I think the Rangers were saved by this trade being nixed because conditions could not be met by both teams.
Yeah, I agree. And I also have to add, I think it's way too early for the Rangers to even be considering this type of move. Like, sure, we've seen some early season trades so far, but those made sense. Like Jacob Trouba had to go. That trade was actually too late. That wasn't even an early trade. That trade was way too late. Should have happened over summer. The Kakko trade, as much as I disagree with it, again, made sense. He was a bottom 6 player. So if the Rangers were looking for just a minor move to kind of just shake things up a little bit, a trade like that would have made sense. But this JT Miller trade, we're talking like blockbuster trade. He's not a superstar top 10 player in the league, but it's a high impact trade. And, it's a trade that a team would make if they are 100% going on a cup run. And yeah, like we said, the Rangers are winning games, but they're still out of a wild card spot. They're gaining ground, but they're not there yet. And like you said, this could immediately just switch back around and we start losing again and end up with the first overall pick. And how embarrassing would that be if we make this trade, miss the playoffs, and then the Canucks get our first overall pick and we're stuck with a 32-year-old JT Miller entering a rebuild? It's way too early. Like, maybe at the deadline is when we're supposed to be talking about a trade like this, if we're confident that we're going to make the playoffs. And if we're not confident that we make the playoffs, we use that cap space to sign someone like you said. And it's early. You know, I don't know who's going to be on the trade block when the deadline rolls around in March. I don't know who's going to be on the free agency market when that opens up in July. This is way too early of a move to be making right now. You know, if you want to keep making minor moves like the Kako trade and bolster that bottom six, or maybe even your bottom defensive pairing, that makes sense. But we should not be going out of our way to get a top line player right now to be helping us make a playoff push when we're not even certain that this little streak of winning games is going to last. So to me, crisis averted. This trade, I feel like, would have set us back years. Imagine I guess the situation would be over in 5 years, but imagine 4 years from now when we're stuck with two 35-year-old centers and Mika Zibanejad and JT Miller trying to get anything done. I feel like we just end up like the Islanders, where we have all these overpaid veterans, can't really do anything about it, and we're just stuck in this perpetual cycle of pain and loss. So shout out the Islanders for that one. But yeah, so I'm happy this trade didn't go through. I'm sure a lot of you watching are too, but we're curious to hear your thoughts on it in that comment section below. So if you guys did enjoy, please like, subscribe, ring that bell to miss notification. And once again, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. To those of you that are still here at this point of the video, Will and I had a nice long talk before we started recording this one. We are implementing a schedule to make sure that we're getting more content out. We're going to be recording on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So you can expect videos 3 times a week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So you get 2 during the week and 1 over the weekend. So if you guys like that plan, let us know as well. So thank you to everyone watching. Yeah, have a good one. And let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.